The Chicago Bears have been linked to a former New Orleans Saints pass rusher who is still out on the market. Tano Passegnon could be a name that the Bears look to bring in, as he has ties with both Dennis Allen and with Ryan Poles. We'll talk about what he could possibly bring to the team and more on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. I saw this first from Sports Illustrated. I've also seen this on Bleacher Report, as well as the Chicago Bears have been linked to former New Orleans Saints edge rusher and pass rusher Tano Passeno. Passeno missed just about all of last year with an Achilles injury and don't know where he's at just yet in the rehab process. But he does have links to both Ryan Poles, where he won a championship with the Kansas City Chiefs and with Ryan Poles in Kansas City, and also a tie to Dennis Allen, where, listen, Passegnon was somebody who in Dennis Allen's defense provided a great amount of pressure, wasn't always a sack guy, hasn't had more than 4 sacks in any season, was more of a depth piece, if anything, for the New Orleans Saints, but could come here and provide not only just that depth, but also some moments where if you want to move Dayo Odeyingbo to the inside, you could move Tano Passegnon a little bit more on that outside edge and vice versa. There's a lot of flexibility with Tano Passegnon and with Dayo Odeyingbo that I think could be very interesting for the Chicago Bears team. Now, I do want you guys to let me know in the comments below, do you think that this could be somebody the Chicago Bears should bring in? Also, drop a bird down in the chat if you're rocking with how this offseason has gone. Hit that like button if you're rocking with how this offseason has gone. I think Ryan Poles has done a phenomenal job this offseason, and I do think that this could be something that could add to the offseason moves. Now, Tano Passegnon, like I said, has not had more than 4 sacks in any season in his NFL career, and in his time in New Orleans, he ran off 4 sacks, 2 sacks, 3.5 sacks, and of course, last season, he didn't register a sack, only playing in 3 games. But again, he wasn't somebody who got a ton of starts. He was more of a depth piece that you could add to this defensive end room that could consistently get pressure on the quarterback to create for guys like Cam Jordan, create for guys opposite of him, very similar to what you're trying to do here for Montez Sweat in this Chicago Bears defense. I think that Tano Passegnon could be somebody that could be very beneficial to the Bears if they were willing to go out there and spend the money. Now, when you look at the tape, I think he's a solid piece to have on your team. I think the PFF grade kind of speaks to what we see when the tape pops up on a guy like Tano Passegnon. Much better pass rusher. He's not an elite pass rusher. He's a solid pass rusher. Gets good pressure in the backfield, forces quarterbacks to get off of their spot, forces quarterbacks to often step up in the pocket. With the pressure that you have coming from the inside, I think that makes a heck of a lot of sense for the Chicago Bears this season, to add somebody who can provide that pressure from the edge to force guys to step up. Even we talked about this, right? Ryan Poles has talked about this multiple times. When there's waves of defense coming through, when you have those waves of defense, right? So even in those moments where maybe it is Shamar Turner and Javon Dexter in the game instead of Andrew Billings and Grady Jarrett, or vice versa, however they're going to work that out, you still need to bring that pressure off of the edge, and that's where I think Tano Passegnon does come in. I will say the run defense has been very up and down throughout his career. There's times where he looks elite at it. There are times where he looks a little bit behind the 8 ball. It's probably where he's the most inconsistent with his game, but I do think he's somebody that makes a heck of a lot of sense for the Chicago Bears if you're looking at this newly opened up cap space based on how the Joe Thuney contract went, and you want to add more to that defensive line. I do want to know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about the Chicago Bears going out and signing Tano Passegnon. Do you think this would be a good move for depth on that defensive line? I'm going to talk about another option that could pop up for the Chicago Bears here coming up next. But first, we want to tell you about today's sponsor on this episode. Breeze Nation, we're going to take a quick break in the action to let you guys know about today's sponsor on this episode, Factor. Listen, y'all already know with how busy my lifestyle is right now, whether it's just living life or being with the family or hosting the Breeze, I don't have time every single day to get in the kitchen and cook something, and that's where Factor comes in. This season, they make things simple and easy with healthy eating delivered right to your front doorstep. Last night, I enjoyed the grilled filet mignon and creamy Parmesan shrimp, as you can see on the screen. It was absolutely delectable. And this morning, I enjoyed a smoothie to get the day started right. That's because Factor is giving you everything you need for your active lifestyle, including Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, and more styled meals. It's not just dinners either. We're talking breakfasts, lunches, snacks, and guilt-free desserts. So what I need you guys to do is go to factormeals.com/breeze50 off. Use the code breeze50 off for 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Again, that's breeze50 off at factormeals.com/breeze50 off. Healthy eating delivered right to your front doorstep. Now let's talk more football. Welcome back. That was smooth and seamless, wasn't it? We got ad reads, baby. Support the ads. Appreciate y'all for showing up. Support the ads. We got ad reads. Let's jump back into this video, man. As listen, I had to take a quick break there just to get the ad read out, and appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Now, Tano Passagnon is somebody who I do think could be interesting here for the Chicago Bears. The one thing that I do love that he has is the fact that he does have a sack on Jordan Love. That was a game-ending sack that forced the football out and caused a fumble. I think if you're a Bears fan right now, still rocking with us on this, drop a bear down just for that alone. But here's the one thing that I will say, right? With the money that you've opened up, I think there's a couple of different directions that you go. Now, this is the discount way, and the Bears haven't done a ton of discount purchases this offseason, right? The Bears haven't been sitting here telling you that they're not going to go out and spend. Literally, the entire offseason has been the Chicago Bears spending money. So I'm not going to sit here and begrudge them if they wanted to go, right? We've talked about going all in, go after Trey Hendrickson, open the money, trade Cole Kmet, do all of this stuff. And you can open this money up to go out and spend big. That's going to put your back completely against the wall. Now, that's not usually how Ryan Poles operates in these situations. So I don't know if I fully expect them to go out and get Trey Hendrickson. I would love to see that be a move that the Bears were able to make, but I just don't know if that's going to be the situation the Bears are going to be in. But if you were to go out and sign Tano Passeno, while that would be a good, what's the right word? It would be a sufficient stopgap for you to get through to, with the depth that you have this season, to get through to next season, back into the draft and be able to address that edge rusher position, hopefully in the draft coming up, be able to kind of lock down on some of those positions that you've missed out on the past couple of years, and with a better edge rush group coming out this season, I think that makes a heck of a lot of sense. But the one thing that I will say is, if you're going to go a direction where you're trying to add some depth to a room where maybe you're not spending the biggest bag that you're looking to spend here, but you're trying to add some depth, it seems like that running back room would be a heck of a lot more of a situation for you to look at than the defensive end room right now. You paid Dio Odangbo $16 million. I would assume you're hoping that he's not going to just be a cog in the machine, that he's going to be able to go out there and make a pretty big impact for you, both on the inside and on the outside, probably more so on the outside as that outside edge rusher, although he does bring that versatility. My big thing here is, if the Chicago Bears are going to go out and you're going to spend money on a depth piece, and I can't believe that I'm saying this, I would rather see you spend money in that running back room on a guy like Nick Chubb, on a guy like J.K. Dobbins, although J.K. Dobbins probably involves some kind of trade. I don't know. I will say, I don't know the situation on Dobbins if it gets to camp and nobody is traded for him, if there's a cut situation there. I would assume that's probably a situation that could pop up there. But I would rather see the Bears go out and spend money in that depth role on that. If we're going with somebody who hasn't made a ton of impact sacking the quarterback, right? If we're going to go with somebody who hasn't made a ton of impact in that sack category, being that depth piece, right? He's had a couple of nice games, couple of nice sack games. I think he had a 3-sack game versus the New York Giants, but there's never that 7-sack season, that 9-sack season that you're going, okay, that's the guy that, even though he's a depth piece, right, you can look at and say, that's an elite depth piece. We have to get that. I'd say even a 5-sack season, right? If you're in that range, you're kind of like, that's an elite level depth piece. I would take a chance. I would rather see the Bears take a chance on a guy like Nick Chubb, if you can get him in here on a much less of a discount than what we thought previously when they were talking about the Browns were going to be trying to bring him back as well, which made absolutely no sense. But Nick Chubb coming off a couple of seasons where he's been absolutely banged up, 28 attempts in 2023, 170 yards, no touchdowns. And then that 2024 season, 102 attempts, 332 yards, got banged up at the end of that season again, and just hasn't been able to return to that Nick Chubb form over the last couple of years. But if you're going to take a flyer on a guy, why not take a flyer on a guy with the higher ceiling? The one thing that I will say about Nick Chubb is if you're going back to 2 years ago, a 1,500-yard season before that injury took place, a 12-touchdown season. And in that season, I will say, even in 2023, when he first came back when he first got the injury, he was averaging 6.1 yards per carry. Remember, he got banged up pretty much in that first or second game. I think it was the first game, maybe it was the second game of that season. He was balling out that year. If you can get him anywhere close to that again, where you feel like you're able to get a steal on that, I would rather take a chance on the higher ceiling player if we're going at a depth piece than just going out and getting a guy. Now, the one thing that I will say is with Kpassagnon, that maybe doesn't work with the Ben Johnson side is Kpassagnon completely fits Ben Johnson's defense. Remember when I was up at Hallis Hall and I talked to Ben Johnson, I said Ben Johnson, Dennis Allen's defense. When I was up at Hallis Hall and I talked to Dennis Allen, he let me know, and we were sitting there talking with Tom Thayer that, I don't like my defensive ends 240. You start to look around, right? You see that they're already moving Daniel Hardy over to that linebacker position, and that could be something that I think he thrives at. I hope he does, because I want to see Daniel Hardy on this team. He just makes plays. I know he'll be on this team as far as special teams, but I think he could be somebody who really pushes that off-ball linebacker spot. But at 6'7", 289 pounds, that is exactly what Dennis Allen is looking for. He talked to me and said he likes his defensive ends in that 280-pound range. That's great to hear, but there's not a lot of guys that you can go out there and get that are in that range at the defensive end position. There weren't a ton for you in the draft. Really, it was just Nick Scorton. And now you look at the fact that you've gotten into the season, and really you've only got one on your team in Dayo Odeyingbo. And I did say he would trade pounds for power. Or I'm sorry, power for pounds. I said that backwards. He would trade power for pounds, which I think you got a ton of from Montez Sweat, right? Montez Sweat could just move people out of his way. He's a freak of nature when it comes to things like that. And so I think that you kind of live in the world where Montez Sweat is on this team and you feel good about it, but you don't have another one of those opposite defensive ends that is that big guy. Tano Passeno does fit that. Does Nick Chubb fit that same style of running back for Ben Johnson's system? I don't know. We haven't really seen Ben Johnson go with somebody who's going to be the every down back. Now, maybe Nick Chubb would have to be that every down back, and you'd be pairing him back up with his college teammate in DeAndre Swift, and they already have that dynamic and that work that was already put in place. But I continue to say this, I don't know if they're fully out on Roschon Johnson. I don't think that they're to a point where they feel like Roschon is that much of a liability. I think for us, we worried about him for the concussion parts, not the play part. But I think that they look at Roschon Johnson as a viable option. Ryan Poles, when he drafted Roschon, talked about how Roschon was a pinnacle piece in this defense, a pivotal piece of this offense, a pivotal piece of this team, a pillar of this team moving forward. And so I think that does make a big difference when you're talking about going out there and adding a player to this team, whether it's going to be Tano Passeno or Nick Chubb. Which one fits best if you're going to go with that with that depth role? I do want to know how you guys feel down in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. I'm gonna get up out of here. I hope you guys are enjoying the day off. If you have the day off, if you are working today, that's why we drop this content, man. I love to be there for the people that are working today. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Big Bear Don. One love. Peace.